This talk is the practice of pilgrimage, meeting our life in every moment. In 2022, it's been 3 years now, I set out on a wandering retreat in a converted bus slash hermitage on wheels called the White Elephant with my 2 cats, Miko and Thomas. There's Miko and Thomas. And so far, in 3 years, we've traveled mostly just through the Western United States. There's more public land in the West and fewer mosquitoes. During my travels, I create art and I offer meditation and I do recovery coaching. And I've also picked up a wonderful way of being of service, creating websites for dharma communities and others that are offering healing into the world. And I offer all of these either by donation or with the websites at really reduced rates to support my travels and my pilgrimage. I have a small amount emergency fund that I keep on hand just in case, but that's all. And otherwise, I really rely on this kind of mutual reciprocity of sharing my skills and services and then whatever people can offer. I felt called to this practice of pilgrimage as well as kind of a dana way of living, maybe similar to the way that Zen monks have for a long time. Despite my years of practice, something in me was not settled. And I wanted to really plunge into the world in a way where I couldn't turn away, where I couldn't be distracted. And I'll show you, here's the inside of the bus. You get a sense of what the quarters are like, and then the cats. So I have you can see at the top, I've got this work table that fits down over the bench, so it can convert into a studio. The cats really like it when I have that up. And here's a map of all the places that I have been so far. As you can see, it's pretty much all west. There's a big gap in the middle, and that mostly has to do with time of year. When I go through, often that's very hot. So I avoid when it's too hot and I avoid when it's too cold. Mostly for the cats, they have a kind of a threshold that they can be in that's safe for them. But those are my travels so far. I learned actually after I left that Zen master Hakuin, who lived in the late 17th and early 18th century in Japan, consulted with a Zen master at a similar point in his practice where he had already embarked on a pilgrimage, but it was early on, and he was visiting different temples and talking with teachers. And when he talked with Master Egoku, he said he didn't really know what to do about, despite his years of practice, a lack of freedom that he felt in his daily life with his practice in the everyday. And Master Egoku's suggestion was go and live in the mountains and be prepared to remain there, withering away with the trees and plants until you find your way through. Hakuin's pilgrimage lasted 14 years. December 18th, 2024. I've traveled over 18,000 miles, now 19,000, and have met people from all walks of life along the way. We share meals and water, coffee and card games, songs on the ukulele, directions to the soup kitchen, longing, love, and loss. Being alive, being human together. So these days, van life or bus life is a thing, right? Y'all have heard of that. Many people are finding the joy in living otherwise, as I like to call it. And there are also many others who are vehicle dwellers or travel by foot on the roads for other reasons, many not by choice. A pilgrimage is different. In her essay, The Practice of Pilgrimage, which Sensei gave to me before I left, Edo Francis Carney Roshi, who's with Olympia Zen Center in Washington, wrote about the sacred intention for a pilgrim one who steps forth on an intentional journey to meet unknown, life-changing situations that bring about a clarity of seeing and of being in the world, the peaceful consequences of practice. And she says this is also what Sesshin is, and even what one period of Zazen is. Perhaps our whole lives are a pilgrimage through the bones of our life, meeting the essence of mind. She continues, at its core, it is an inner expedition traversed through intimate, intangible, interior space, wherever we go and in whatever terrain we may discover ourselves. And Dogen has something similar to say about pilgrimage. He says, it's not necessary to leave our original training place because the true nature of pilgrimage is within oneself. The one we are seeking is our own true self. So wherever we are, however we live, we can embrace this practice. You don't have to move into a bus. The way I see it, everyone here, and here is throughout space and time, is a pilgrim. To enter into any form of spiritual practice is to enter into pilgrimage. There are many koans in the Zen tradition about pilgrims and travelers. And those who might be new to Zen, a koan is an exchange often between a monk or a Zen student and his teacher or master. They've been recorded over hundreds of years, and they're used as a curriculum within Zen practice to help kind of challenge our ideas, our intellectual understanding about who we are, and point to a deeper, more direct experience of reality. So in case 31 in the Mumonkan, which is the gateless gate, there's a koan, Joshu sees through the old woman. And I won't give you the whole koan, but just the beginning part. A traveling monk approached an old woman and asked, which way should I take to Mount Gotai? The old woman replied, go straight on. However, as the monk walked a few steps, she added, she may look like a fine monk, but she too goes off like that. So Mount Gotai here represents awakening. And the monk is basically asking, how do I become enlightened? What should I do? Which way should I go? Should I study with this teacher? Should I read that book? Should I sit zazen all day? Tell me, how do I do this? And the old woman quite simply says, go straight on. But then, and I can hear her, it's kind of muttering after the monk starts walking, shaking her head. She may look like a fine monk, but she too goes off like that. Now, this is kind of odd, right? I mean, she told the monk to go straight on. And sure enough, they headed off, following the directions they had been given. I'm guessing the monk was quite happy to have been told so clearly which way to go. Be given such a straight answer, right? We all like to get the answers, don't we? Yeah. If only someone could just tell me how to live, what to do, then I'd be good, right? But the old woman was like, look at that foolish monk. So what did the old woman mean by straight on? What is the path to awaken? Which way do we go? How do we get there? In these koans, the fact that it is always a traveling monk feels really important to me. Again, not because you have to leave your home or live in a bus like me, but that the pilgrimage of life, the path of awakening, is walked step by each of us. It's not something we can do in our heads intellectually. We can't figure it out. It's lived and embodied moment by moment, day by day. And it is your path. I can't walk your path, and you can't walk mine. Even if I wanted to, I can't tell you which way your path will unfold. I'm not any closer to the truth than any of you. One thing that has happened, though, during these years is that I've, for the most part, not always, but for the most part, stopped looking, at least in the ways I used to look. I stopped wanting anything to be different. Perhaps that's what withering away is all about. In the Heart Sutra, we chant, no wisdom and no gain. No gain unless the Bodhisattva lives prajna paramita. No hindrance in the mind, no hindrance, therefore no fear. Is the liberation that the Buddha talks about. Far beyond deluded thoughts, who I am, where I'm going, how I'm going to get there. This is nirvana. What is this? In his talk a couple weeks ago, Gyudo Sensei shared, I think he referred to it as a koan, each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. I hadn't heard that before, so I looked it up. And it comes from the Zen Center of San Diego. They use it, they call it the 4 practice principles. And Charlotte Joko Beck even brought it in and into practice with her students. And the 4 lines are kind of a poetic interpretation of the 4 Noble Truths. And they go like this. Caught in the self-centered dream, only suffering, holding the self-centered thoughts, exactly the dream. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher, being just this moment, compassion's way. On my retreat into the world, I made a vow to practice in the spirit, though I didn't have those words yet. Each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. I do my best to meet everyone and everything with an open heart, including myself. Way easier said than done, both myself and others. But fortunately, as I like to say, the practice of pilgrimage has a way of cracking us wide open. To be a pilgrim is to step into the vastness of life, unpredictable, undefined, unfamiliar, unself-centered. To let go of all that I think I know over and over and over again so I can be just this moment and experience life as life with all of its joy and pain, without grasping or resisting or turning away from it as best as I can. Meeting every moment, every breath, every emotion, every day, every person, every place as my very self. Being just this moment, compassion's way, each moment, life as it is, the only teacher. When we practice in this way, it's truly ceaseless practice. So many moments, so many teachers, one after another, after another, after another. So there's a Japanese phrase that I've learned that I love, ichigo ichi-i, ichigo ichi-i, and it translates literally as one lifetime, one encounter, or one moment, one meeting. Can also be understood as one moment, one opportunity. And this phrase originated with chado, which is the term for tea ceremony in Japan in the 16th century. And tea ceremonies practice in this way. It's one unique, unrepeatable moment. Each and every encounter in life, whether with a person, a place, or thing, is unique and will never be repeated and is an opportunity to truly meet that moment. In our attunement practice, which we started during COVID and we do with One Body Sangha, we say there are no fixed relationships, only the moment-by-moment experience of relating. There are no fixed relationships, only the moment-by-moment experience of relating. So I thought I would share with you a few of the moments I've met along the way over this past year. We'll begin with the hawk. wild and wide open range of Wyoming. Every day the sky is different. The burrowing owls scouting the elephant. The young calf decaying in the field. The deer in the alley. The mechanics. The wheat fields of Montana. The oasis in northern Idaho. The wildfire roaring across the highway in Idaho. The mighty Pacific. The waves and Buddhas and pebbles. The fog that swallows the horizon. And blankets the California shore. The redwoods. The mighty sequoias. And their carcasses after the fire. The rain. The sugar pines of Yosemite. Ancient Mono Lake east of the Sierras, 760,000 years old. No 2 days, no 2 moments the same. Incandescent in the darkness. The Sierras. The comet. The valley. The mountain. the sacred stupas and pinnacles of Trona. The train. The travel center. One of my road friends, Michael, eating his coffee in his tin can cup, trading flip-flops for my propane and water. Another road friend, Randy, talking story over coffee. Vast desert wilderness of Anza Borrego. The coyote. The ants. The tarantula. The holidays. I met up with my friend, Valerie, for Christmas. The Badlands. The 20-foot Ocotillo. A bird. Dora and Dewey. I call them, they don't know this, but I call them my desert godmothers. And we met along the way via another woman that I met, and they check in from time to time to make sure I'm doing okay. And that's Dora's rig, Jambo, in the background there. And my friend Montezuma and his 6-year-old son, Adam. Some of you might remember Montezuma from my first year of travels. So we stayed in touch. We met at Three Rivers Petroglyph site in New Mexico. And he would always message me. He calls me Shoko. Shoko, where are you? Where are you? And when I was coming through New Mexico this spring, I messaged him and said, hey, I'm going to be close. And so we met up and went to the zoo in Las Cruces with his son. And then we camped together a couple nights There's Adam holding up the sky. He has a daughter named Eve. So Adam and Eve are his two youngest. He has some grown kids as well. And I asked everyone I'm showing, I asked for their permission to show their photos. And I invited them to join. And when I messaged Montezuma, he said, I don't really do social, so I won't join, but you're welcome to share, because the story of Montezuma and Adam and Eve is also your story. And I messaged him back and I said, just so you know, you can always also share the story of Sokyo. It's also your story. And he carved our names in this. There's this pavilion up at the top of the ridge, and many, many other people have done this. And he carved our names into the pavilion. The rainbow. The rain. The fields. The fog. The cactus spines that I pulled out of Thomas's rump. The border patrol. The RV shop and its flags of many colors. The hospital room. I had a case of double pneumonia in April. The Oregon Mountains of New Mexico, and the Oregon Mountains of New Mexico during a massive dust storm. And then the activities of daily life, refueling, diesel, refueling water, refueling solar, charging my solar lamps. And then the night. The moon and the stars. And the cats and their LED lights. So I put a little light on them before it gets dark. And the cats have been on a pilgrimage all their own. Thomas likes to go up to the top. That's where he often is during the day. Nico often likes to hang close with the pillows. He likes to be near me. But he also has a wild side. And they play together. And they know how to keep themselves safe. They stay inside the bus if there's any hint of danger. And then there are meetings for which I have no photographs. November 11th, 2024. I first noticed him slouched on the bench outside Albertson's grocery in Ridgecrest, California, where I'd stopped to resupply for food and water. He was gone when I came out after I finished shopping, but his tightly wrapped duffel was still on the bench. When I returned to fill my water jugs, he was back, hood up, sneaking a glance my way. Ragged face, teeth rotting, but kind eyes underneath the wear and tear. Tall and gaunt. I rolled down the window to say hello. Hey there, do you need anything? He peered at me uncertainly. You wouldn't happen to be going to Arizona, would you? I'm making my way that way, though not directly. I could give you a lift to Barstow, though. Would that help? Sure, he said. I cleared a seat for him on the bench near the front of the bus. And so it was that I met Aaron, and we came to ride together 80-some miles south to Barstow on Highway 395 in the White Elephant. He told me he rarely asked for rides. I said I rarely offered, as I had to be careful. But he seemed like a good dude who could use a lift. Otherwise, we mostly rode in silence, with Chris Christopherson providing the entertainment. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Nothing ain't worth nothing, but it's free. The old elephant doesn't go that fast, especially on hills, so people were passing us the whole way. One lady in a sparkling white Subaru roared by, honked her horn, and glared. I'm pretty sure I saw a middle finger in there somewhere, too. Aaron raised his eyebrows and glanced at me in the rear view. Looks like she's in a hurry, I said. Are you in a hurry? Not at all, he replied. Me neither, I said. And this old bus is definitely not in a hurry. We laughed and rolled on down the highway. We pulled into Barstow just as it was getting dark. I was planning to camp a little while further south of town and then hop my way around Southern California public lands before heading over to Quartzsite in Arizona once it cooled off a little more. He was welcome to ride south with me, but I wasn't getting to Arizona anytime soon. It was too hot for the cats there still. He said he'd rather get out in Barstow and see if he could find his way there more directly, and he wanted to catch a $5 bus from Parker or Q up to Lake Havasu. Where would be best to drop him? He remembered a 24-hour Walmart on the east edge of town that would be a good place to hang for the night. I offered to drive him there, which he accepted, though he said he could always walk. He didn't want to be too much trouble. He bowed his head then and said heavily, I'm sorry. Why? For being a burden. Damn. Tears welled in my eyes. You are no burden, I said, not to me. Quite the contrary. I got to meet a fellow traveler tonight and make a new friend. Thank you for that. We nodded at each other in the dim dashboard light. I considered staying in Barstow with him or heading east instead of south to help him along his way a little more. But neither of those felt right in the moment. I didn't want to overstep and was mindful of my own boundaries. Seeing my feeble attempt to solve things, though, he intervened. I have, he stammered, and then he stopped. I got it. I didn't need to rescue him. You have your ways, don't you? I said. Yeah, he said, I'll be okay. We looked at each other in silent recognition. Yeah, he will be. I do want you to be okay, I said. I know I just met you, but I care about you all the same. He nodded. Thank you. Asked him if he wanted some food to take with him. He said, sure. I loaded up a bag, bunch of clementines, a few apples, a box of fig bars, some cheese, and caramel chocolates I'd found on sale at grocery outlets. What good timing that I had just restocked. The day before, my pantry was pretty much empty. When I handed him the food, he said, "God bless you." But then again, "I'm sorry, I'm sorry." His sorries felt bigger than that moment, something deeper. I felt badly that my generosity seemed to have generated some kind of shame within him. I've seen how that can backfire. And I wanted to let him off whatever hook he was feeling. As lightly and simply as I could, I told him again that it was okay, that I was happy to share, and that meeting him was a real pleasure. I didn't often have anyone to talk to, and it was nice to have some company for a change. "Me too," he said. He didn't have a phone, but I gave him my phone number and email in case he found a way to get access at some point. If he ever wanted or needed to reach out, he had a friend out here. We parted in the darkness of the parking lot and the dim sodium lights, and bowed deeply to each other under the blue and gold Walmart sign. And then we laughed again at the formality of it all. He said, "Thank you," again. I said, "You're very welcome." He started to walk away, then stopped and turned. "Do I owe you anything for the gas?" I smiled and said, "No, you don't owe me anything. I was coming this way anyway." "God bless you," he said, "and safe travels." "God bless you too," I said. "Safe travels, my friend." Ichi-e, Ichi-go, one moment, one meeting. This is the practice of pilgrimage. The stranger on the street, one moment, one meeting. Your partner, one moment, one meeting. Your child, one moment, one meeting. The clerk at the grocery store, one moment, one meeting. How many moments have I missed in my life because of my distraction, or my fear, or my judgments, or opinions about something? Caught in the self-centered dream, holding to self-centered thoughts. March 19th, 2024. Caught again. Self-selfing, cold, hard, trapped, comparing, complaining, judging, hating, craving. All the while, all around, the birds cheer and dart about. Spider webs glisten and flutter in the delicate breeze. Tiny flowers rise up, pert, proud, pink and purple, paper white. Life living life as life. Open the door, step outside the mind, into the brilliant, teeming heart of aliveness that is you. So I actually did meet an old woman by the side of the road along the way, just like in the koan. It was the wildest thing. Wherever I went, there she was. In the desert, with the rocks, by the water. She's about my age, similar build. We have a lot in common. She liked to travel. She even had the same shoes that I had. She's entering her later years in life. Tissues and joints and muscles beginning to atrophy. Found her to be kind of arrogant at times. She sometimes pretends to have all the answers. But really underneath, I can tell she's just afraid to be vulnerable. She actually has a lot of self-doubt and fear, though she seems to know how to not let that hold her back as much these days. She's still learning how to be a good friend to others. She makes mistakes all the time. Sometimes she talks too much in her attempt to be seen, to be heard, be understood. Other times, she's too withholding, kind of hard to get to know for fear of getting too close. And she cries often at the tender beauty of it all. Most of all, she's longing to love and be loved, like so many of us. I noticed that she likes to hang out with the cats a lot, and they liked hanging out with her. Miko especially. We have a lot of the same interests. She likes to read and draw, paint. And eventually, I realized she had been with me all along in the midst of everything. She was right there. So I welcomed her with open arms. And invited her to sit with me. If we're lucky in life, we get to meet ourselves. Maizumi Roshi said that the practice of Zen is to close the gap between yourself and yourself. To have good trust in yourself, not the one you think you should be, but the one that you are. And this is perhaps the most intimate meeting of all. And this is what our Zazen is. This is our practice. In meditation, we're practicing becoming intimate with who we are, just as we are. March 23rd, 2025. If I bow deeply enough, will I finally be free? Face down in the dirt, forehead deep in the rocky soil, palms up, back bent, giving all my weight and sorrow to this great earth body, releasing every molecule to the sky, to the sun, to the stars. The one hand of all that is holy bends down in the dust, weeping head below beating heart. Take my will and my life, selves before self. I offer myself to thee, love before fear. Take my will and my life, forever and ever. I offer myself to thee, until nothing remains. Take my will and my life. I offer myself to thee. One lifetime, one meeting. Who is it that is not free? Sister Clear Grace Dayananda, also known as the traveling monk, said, look closely. Freedom is already here, in your breath, in your body, in your choice to begin again. There is no gap, but our mind makes it so. Our breath, our body, our life, these rocks are all calling us to remember this, calling to us all the time. Here, here. How many moments have I missed caught in my mind, my self-selfing? Here, here, calls the mesquite, trembling with anticipation. I have so much to tell you. How many opportunities have I lost because I was looking for something outside? Who am I? What is this? Here, here. Even in my despair, here. My tears, here. My confusion, here. My longing, here. My joy, here. My dancing, here. Leonard Cohen said, ring the bells that still can ring. Forget your perfect offering. This is the way of the Bodhisattva. When I can fully be with me, just as I am, I can fully be with you too, just as you are. No separation. Your despair, here. Your tears, here. Your confusion, here. Your longing, here. Your joy, here. Your dancing, here. When I can fully be with me just as I am, then I can also fully be with the world just as it is and respond with love through action, without being caught by my own aversion, judgment, despair, or fear. The Russian bombs in Ukraine, here. The dog playing in the mud, here. 71,000 children in Gaza starving from the Israeli blockade, here. The infant marveling at his mother's eyes, here. The Jewish families, their loved ones kidnapped or murdered by Hamas militants, here. The militants' hatred and delusion, here. The Boulder hippies dancing in the grassy courtyard, here. The arrogance and narcissism of our leaders, here. The lawyers toiling through the night to uphold democracy, here. The ICE agent arresting the father at his immigration hearing, here. The immigrant seeking refuge for his family, here. There's another koan about a traveler, which Cynthia also mentioned recently, case 12 in the Book of Equanimity. Jizo plants the rice field. Shuzanshu met up with a farmer, Jizo planting his fields. I'll just share the last two lines. Shuzanshu asks, "What can you do about the world?" Jizo said, "What do you call the world?" I'll close with a final poem. What was that bell I heard so long ago? It is like breathing, she said. A foot before, a foot behind, I meet myself with every step. Which way is it to Mount Kutai? Go on, straight ahead. Thank you for listening.